Hi, this is Joe from Citrus County Porch Life. I am tongue-tied today. I tried saying that about 3 times and got it wrong every time. And today we have the AA word of the day, and the word is repairing the damage. August 14th, 2024. And this is a quote from the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous, page 76. We attempt to sweep away the debris which has accumulated out of our effort to live on self-will and run the show ourselves. If we haven't the will to do this, we ask until it comes. Remember, it was agreed at the beginning we would go to any lengths for our victory over alcohol. And these are the reflections. Making a list of people I had harmed was not a particularly difficult thing to do. They showed up in my fourth step inventory. People towards whom I had resentments, real or imagined, and whom I had hurt by acts of retaliation. For my recovery to be thorough, I believed it was not important for those who had legitimately harmed me to make amends to me. What is important is my relationship with God is that I stand before Him knowing I have done what I can to repair the damage I have done. Well, this relates to me very much. I didn't go and beat people over the head or threaten them with guns or really do anything physical against people. The biggest thing was my mouth. And in the gospel, James warns us about our mouth and keeping it shut. And even God Himself said in the Gospels, it's not what goes in your mouth that's dirty, it's what comes out. And that's certainly the case with me. When I lived up north, I had quite a bit of land. I had about 1.5 acres of it cleared, and I had a pool, and I had a good area to gather, and I had an outhouse in the back with a sink, a toilet. So I hosted a lot of parties. A lot of my family members asked me if they could come up and have a party there because they lived in the inner city and there wasn't much free and available land. So I always said yes if I didn't have anything going on myself. The biggest sin against me would be, I guess, making an assumption about me or taking advantage of me. I guess in today's parlance, the kids would say he disrespected me. And that there was one particular guy that somehow, if I invited a certain friend, he would come. And never once did he bring any beer. Everybody else would bring beer or wine or whatever it was that they were drinking. I provided beer because that's what I drank. And I would watch. I had my seat so I could see the cooler that I had the beer in. And I would watch, and he'd take a beer, maybe 2 or 3. But never once did I ever see him bring any. So that in me became a gigantic, and when I say gigantic resentment. And my way of dealing with it is the one that AA warns everyone about, that it's akin to murder. It's a polite, as they say in the Big Book, a polite form of murder by character assassination. So, 4 or 5 cookouts, he doesn't bring any beer, he drinks my beer. Maybe it's up to half a case that he's freeloading off me. This is my mind thinking. So I start, a cheap bastard. Who does he think he is? And I let everyone know. So I got the rumor mill going about him. And that was totally wrong of me. Totally wrong. I've apologized to him. You never know what a person's going through. Yeah, you don't know if he... I don't know how much of the story to give because I want it to remain anonymous. If I give specifics, my friends up north might figure out who it is. But he was poor enough that he couldn't even afford to bring a beer. And here I am with more beer than I need, and complaining about him not bringing a beer. In fact, I drank so much beer, I owned apartments. I had my brothers help me rehab, and I owned apartments, and when I got refrigerators in the apartments, I would take the box that the refrigerator came in and put it in my garage, which was an old horse barn, and that could have 3 horses in it. And I had one of those things on the wall where you crush the cans, you put it in and you crush down. Well, I would fill those refrigerator boxes that held them to the top with empty beer cans. That's how much beer I drank. A case a day was nothing. In fact, if that's all I had on a weekend, I'd worry, what am I going to do? And I knew places you could eat. In Rhode Island, liquor stores were closed on Sunday back when I was drinking. They're open now. But I would start to get anxious if all I had was a case over a weekend because I knew I need something on a Sunday. So I didn't quite, in my family, which was very British by name. My maternal grandparents came from Ireland, Northern Ireland, which was controlled by the British. So they were considered British until after the Easter Rising and their independence after World War II. I mean World War I, when they became the Irish Free State. But at that time they were British. And my paternal grandparents are both British, from England, from the Manchester area, and well, they had what we used to call it was comeuppance, and that was the term. I'll give him his comeuppance. It was what you would do to a person if in some way they had wronged you, and it comes from the phrase comes from going up before a judge in Great Britain, and that would be called coming up to the judge. So the sentence you got was your comeuppance. But when I saw it, this same concept talked about as a polite form of murder, I realized the gravity of what I had been doing to some people who, some people would have brushed it off, but not me. I hung on to that. And it was totally wrong of me. I'm ashamed of myself even to this day that I did it. I did apologize to the gentleman that used to come to my party. And he's no longer alive, but we did have a reconciliation. And I never did it again. And so you have to watch out for those small things. It's not the big things. I mean, this got into my mind and played with my mind, and made me not a very nice person. And when I finally saw the light on this, I realized the harm that I had done. And a lot of people say, well, I never hurt him, really. All I did was talk about him, and that's probably the worst thing you can do. You can never get it back. You can only ask for forgiveness. And That's what happens. These are things that you learn in AA. Because when I drank, I continually acted like that. I would get mad at people for nothing and talk about them and spread rumors, never knowing what caused the interaction where I felt slighted. So, I don't want to be found guilty of a polite form of murder anymore. That's why I treasure my sobriety. I hope you do too. And have a blessed August 14th. Stay safe and enjoy the summer. It's going quickly. God bless.